Question number 13 of the IT password exam from PhilNITS. In this question, we are being asked, which of the following storage units has the shortest access time? The way to solve this problem is to know what the choices are, and of course, if they have some type of wording here, you know what it would mean. This isn't really a too difficult a problem, and I think if you have been using computers for maybe over a year, you would have encountered all of these words here. Let's see the first choice, letter A. It's saying HDD, which means the hard disk drive. This is something that you may have also encountered if you've been using computers for over 5 years ago, since over 5 years ago, because at the time, computers, desktop computers, for example, would use a type of storage that is hard disk, that is of hard disk type. Later on, we'll find a newer version, which is the SSD, signifying solid state drive. And the reason why the solid state drive has begun to be more prevalent is because sometimes if you are using the computer and you need to boot it up really quickly, you find that HDD will get you to the login page of your operating system like Windows after about a minute. But sometimes you don't have that long a time. You'd want to make things much faster, and so um, if you use the other newer type, which is the SSD, the solid state drive, it will take you definitely less than a minute, maybe even about 10 seconds to get the whole thing up to the login page. So it's much faster now because of the SSD. And I think it is because of this that a lot of the computer game consoles also have been opting to use this type, except that, of course, this is much more expensive than the HDD, and also similar to what we've learned about from the USB flash drives, which uses the same um, technique of flash memory. There is supposed to be a maximum too of the read and write, well, particularly the write part. So you can write onto the flash memory, but it's there's a limit to how many times you can write to it, except that the limit seems to be too high a value that it could be ignored. So you can write so many times on the flash memory and not really worry too much about the limit. But I think it's also important for us to understand how certain things do have limits, and at times, like for example in the flash memory's case, the flash drive, you won't really worry too much about that. And because this is an exam that tests engineering understanding, I think you might as well also understand something about those things, right? Especially since we're talking about memory. And later on, if you do some more of the application development, programming, computer programming, you'll also again encounter memory allocation, resource allocation, because you have limits to how much memory you can consume, and so you need to know how to efficiently allocate those things. Especially also if you want to do graphics, like drawing circles, you know that if you draw the circle in its complete form, you won't have sufficient resources to do so. You need to tell the computer that drawing this circle in this way is already enough. You don't need to use all the remaining resources to compute, because you know that the pi number is an irrational number, which means it doesn't, because it doesn't end, you have a 3.14 blah 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 there, it doesn't end, then to get the perfect circle will take an infinite amount of resources to completely finish. That's why we tell the computer, no, this is okay up to this value of the pi, and when we look at the drawing, it seems to be okay already, right? So again, memory allocation and storage allocation, but either A or B, there the any of those answers won't be the solution to this question, but we need to know what they are first. Okay, so we put an X mark beside B, we put an X mark beside A. Now we're down to C and D. Let's go with D first. This is main memory, and this one I think gets us to the data faster than the hard disk or the maybe the SSD tool, but there is something much more faster, which is the cache memory. By the way, when we're talking about memory, there are two types also. There is the one for storage, which is the HDD and the SSD. And of course, there is the volatile memory, which is the RAM. Actually, RAM means random access memory. But later on, we get explanations saying that you don't really mind too much about that random part there, because when we think about random, it seems like it's just there's no order at all. There's no way to organize information because it's all random. You can't really maybe even predict. But actually, maybe the wording there, due to um, continuous use, have caught on. But the meaning is really that we have a way to order the information there, so it's not totally like a random kind of thing. But the important part there is the memory part, which is the RAM card, for example, that helps you get your applications to run much faster. We know that there's a processor that does that for you, but with the help of the RAM, the memory part there, it can make things so much faster, because the image files, for example, I keep talking about the image files, media files like that, because they're usually the ones that take up a lot of the load to make things slower. Um, because if you're thinking about text, um, that's uh, that's like all the images can be reduced to text, but the total file size would be much bigger, because you need all the pixels there. For example, you have to have some kind of value for what color they have to represent and all that, right? So we use the main memory to put those things in a storage that we can quickly get hold of, so that the computer need not compute again the value of the image, um, because we don't have the answer in a ready to pick up place. Okay, now we added the cache memory so that it will be so much more faster. So we allocate a portion of memory for cache. That's why if you look at the web browser settings, there would be a place there where you can also delete stuff that you have remembered. And I think there are people who want to do that because they want to see what would be the page be like if a person who has never visited the page enters and visits. So there are people who may want to delete the cache memory, but for most cases, I guess you want to keep the image files, the media files there, so that when you visit the website, it'll load faster. Okay, so after all that explanation, with examples, of course, the correct answer would be which one? Letter C, cache memory, which gives us the shortest access time. If you look at my notes, but we have some of the stuff that I said a while ago too, the solid state drive, which uses same piece of technology used with flash memory, flash-based memory. Faster data retrieval, but there is a maximum write counts. Okay. All right.